All right. Hi, everybody, and good evening. My name's Nick, and I'm the camp director for this digital event. What you just saw was a short movie that some students made at our camp in 2017, and we would love to be there right now. Although Martin, he told me about the weather right now in Denmark, and so maybe we wouldn't want to be there. I'm not sure, but that's that's how this all really got started, with the idea of having an international camp that was organized originally by Dennis Stahl and myself. We were both teachers at a school in Germany, and we were at a Baltic Sea Project meeting, and they asked us about the possibility of doing that. And I'll go into more details a little bit later, but that's why I wanted to just show you how this camp was originally planned. And we just decided fairly spontaneously, we want to make it possible. We want to make this camp happen, and the only way to do that is to go digital. So here we are, and I'm really happy that we have quite a few students and teachers and so many different participants. Let's see. So let's talk about who is here, because I think that's the most special part about the whole thing. We have 9 different countries. We have around the Baltic Sea. That means we also have different UNESCO Baltic Sea Project coordinators as well. Martin and Geddy are sitting with me right now in the studio as well, so you'll get to see them as well. We have then about 200 different schools in this network. So we come together at an international level, but we also come together at a network level in our different countries. And of course, the 200 different schools are kind of a little network in of themselves. They do lots of different activities as well. And so most of you are going to be fairly familiar with some of the maybe the UNESCO activities that go on. Most of you are coming from UNESCO schools. But in the end, the thing that makes this special is that we're bringing these UNESCO schools, we're bringing young people, we're bringing teachers together, and we want to take action. And I say to really, we'll be talking about global citizenship education more later, but to sum it up, I like to say that what we're trying to do here is leave our planet a little bit better than how we found it. And so we just kind of, it's all about what do we need to make that possible. But we'll be hearing some other definitions, and we'll be even kind of feeling into it as well. And I'm really happy that this event is possible, that we're still managing to kind of bring people together, even though it's in this kind of digital manner. So I'd like to say a few thank yous as well, because basically, I mean, you're seeing like 1 or 2 people on the screen, right? And it's just this live stream. It seems kind of easy, but we've experienced something else in the last 8 weeks of getting everything set up. And there was quite a bit of work, and there's a lot of people that are responsible for that. So right now, the Finnish general coordinations, we always have one country that kind of just is in charge of making sure that things work well in the network, and that we meet up regularly, and that's in Finland right now. And so they have wished this camp well, and given us support, and made sure that this was gonna happen. We have our international coordinators, and they're the ones who reach out to all of the schools and advertise for a camp like this and get participants. But we also have, of course, then several teachers at these schools as well, who also make the effort during a COVID, a crisis, different scenarios where people are at home or at school and at home. A lot of pressure is put on schools, of course. Let's focus on the things that are, really important, and that's not necessarily something like a digital camp. So thank you goes out to the teachers as well. We'd have some support from the KIK Environmental Investment Center, Tartu Nature House, and Educational Greenhouse as well. They've given us support to make sure this works out. All of our workshop facilitators and live stream contributions, all of these people, there's probably 30 or 40 people involved, and they got various phone calls and emails just asking them if they would donate their time to this cause. So with very, very little funding, we decided to try to put on this event, and just with people donating their skills and their time to make something like this possible. And then as well, what else do we have? The live stream. That's right. And I'd also like to talk about our Digital Årø team. We're going to show a picture of them here as well. And we have Getty and Martin and Corinna, Stanislav, Camilla, Corinna, and myself. And we were kind of the first group that came together when we talked about 2 months ago. Okay, let's go digital. Let's do it. Who's in? Who's going to help? Who's going to make this happen? And so we were kind of that first group that came together and said, all right, let's try it. And so just big thanks on my part goes out to all of them. I had already, talked about it in the beginning when we did it analog. It was very much about our school. Our school puts on this camp for all of our 8th graders every single year. So that was when Dennis Stahl, who's also one of the organizers here, and myself, when we decided, okay, let's do this. 2017, that's when this movie also took place. And then it was a very different situation to then say, let's do it digital. And it was not 3 months ago, we weren't thinking that something like this was going to be possible. So it's just thank you to these 50, 60, 70 different people in very different positions that are making it possible. Okay, I'm going to hand it over at this point to Martin, and we're going to try to get you involved a little bit, all right? Some interaction. So that's why you're watching using Slido. You have the possibility of asking questions. So Martin will be talking a bit, Getty, Kerstin, and myself. I'll introduce them later again. And if you have questions about what they're saying, then go ahead and use Slido to do that. And the second thing is we'll be using some polls so that you'll have the possibility of just interacting and answering some questions that we have for you as well. And so, Martin, I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Martin Jara, the National Coordinator for Germany in the Baltic Sea Project. Welcome, all of you. The weather report from Årø, currently 8 degrees and heavy rain. So probably really good. We're not sitting in the tents out there, but at home and be in front of a lot of books. Nick, I've got to ask you whether I will see the Slido from here, just being online here in the studio. We haven't talked about that, will I?
Yes, you will be able to see Slido once we get started and I share my screen.
Cool, because to everyone, we think we need a little warm up at the very beginning, a little warm up with some interesting questions about what you think about how the world is right at this moment. So, Nick, I would like to ask you to show these questions.
That's right. So we have that right now. They're able to answer the questions, and in just a second, I will also share my screen, and then we can take a look at some of the questions. One moment. Okay, so they're just getting the information right now, of course, that these questions are, should be open and everybody can participate. So 7, 8, 9, 10, now they're starting to come in with the answers.
Okay, we don't have to ask these questions because everybody can see these questions, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, I don't see them myself, but I hope Nikki will show us the results here too.
Yes, definitely. I'm gonna share my screen here in just a second. They're still piling in, 28, 29, 30 different answers here. So 35. It takes a little time, of course, to go through all 3 of the questions. So, and I think Martin, now would probably be a good time to share my screen, and then we can get started. So, 1 second. Okay,
Yeah.
so there we have it right now. So 56, but we can even start, as the answers come in, it might change a little bit. But I think you should be able to see the first one, right?
Yeah, and I would like to say something about these questions, because this is not something we invented, right, Nick, or myself, or anyone here in the Baltic Sea Project. This goes to a very interesting person that is worth looking a little closer to, by the name of Hans Rosling, a Swedish medical doctor. Unfortunately, he died in 2017. He did some very good research and published it. So the questions can be found at gapminder.org on a website. And here is the result of the first question. You answered the question: how many of the world's 1-year-old children today have been vaccinated against some diseases? And most of you said 50%. The right answer is 80%, right? 80% of the world's 1-year-old children have been somehow vaccinated against at least one disease. That was question number 1. Thank you for this. Can we see the result of question number 2? 30-year-old men have spent 10 years at school by average. And what is the right answer for women at the same age? There were 3 options: 3 years, 6 years, or 9 years. And again, this is a worldwide question, and worldwide the average is 9 years. So 9 years is the average. Most of you said 6 years. Only 41% said 9 years. 9 years would have been the right answer. And number 3, the life expectancy of the world population. Most of you know that the life expectancy in Europe is close to 80 for men and over 80 for women. That is in most of our countries here around the Baltic Sea too. And 50, 60, or 70 years, that was the choices. And well, most of you said 60 years, to be followed by 70, and only 20% said 50 years. The correct answer is 70 years. It is even 72. So again, you thought, or your answers showed, you think the world is a little worse than it in fact is. The world's average life expectancy is over 70 years, even though you said it's 60 years. And that happened at all 3 questions, if you remember that. And that's exactly what Hans Rosling experienced when he asked all the questions. We just chose 3 of them, and there are more to answer. And it's the same picture with all these questions. Most people think the world is worse than it in fact is. And since Nick said at the very beginning, we are to make the world a little better with all this we're doing here. It is already not that bad as some of you think. Nick.
Yeah, and so I'd like to also kind of just then combine that with this thought. Well, what does this have to do with this camp? What does this have to do with global citizenship education? And for some reason, we have this thought sometimes, right? That there's all of these terrible things going on. We need to finally get together and collectively work together and make this world a better place. There's been other people that have thought exactly the same thing 30 or 40 years ago, several hundred years ago, and they have had different problems. Sometimes they were, it had more to do with poverty. It had more to do with disease, especially other challenges that they were facing at other times. And global efforts, especially when looking at the data from Hans Rosling in the last 40 to 50 years, we have made an incredible impact. People who have actively tried to make this world a little bit better. They've been successful. And now, of course, we're focused on new challenges, which have maybe gotten worse in that time, or which weren't even there 40 or 50 years ago. And I guess, and Martin was the one who even told me about Hans Rosling. He told me about the book Factfulness. He was the one 4 or 5 years ago when I didn't even know the word global citizenship education. He was the one who got me starting to think more globally about things. And when I took this test, it was 10 questions. I got 2 of them right, and realized, okay, wow. So I don't know any of that. And apparently, I think the world is this horrible place. And there's been a lot that's gone on, and that has everything to do with global citizenship education. the attitude that we can make a difference together, and that we can combat these challenges and make this world better. The belief that it is possible. That's what global citizenship education. That's the attitude that it should lead to. Okay, Martin, I'm gonna throw the ball back in your direction. You're over here on my screen, and it's time for some history, right? Oh, Martin, we don't hear you right now, but we probably will in a second.
Probably now. Can you hear me now? Nick,
yes,
thank you
wonderful.
for this. So the history of the Baltic Sea project, I'm going to share some slides with you to give you an introduction into what the Baltic Sea project is about. The question to Nick is, does everybody see my blue screen here? Yes, thank you for this. So just some thoughts about the Baltic Sea and its more than 30 years of history and what this means for today. We are a sustainability project. And I heard many of you are new to the Baltic Sea project, so maybe it's the first time ever you are with us here today. So the Baltic Sea project is a UNESCO project. We're closely cooperating with UNESCO in the 9 countries taking part in the Baltic Sea project, and with the UNESCO headquarters in Paris. When I first came into the Baltic Sea project, I was teaching at a school in southern Germany. You see the name here, Integrierte Gesamtschule Kandel. And I'm sorry if this is a German language map, right? So you see Litauen here. Of course, it's Lithuania in English and so on. So you can learn the German country names here if you want. The Baltic Sea project is a project of 9 countries around the Baltic Sea. So seen from a German perspective, this is Germany with its coast, and Denmark and Sweden and Finland. This is where the current general coordination is. And Russia with the St. Petersburg area is also part of it, as well as Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Poland, and Germany, of course. 9 countries working on sustainability, working on a lot of different topics. And when I first got asked, could that be something for you, being a part of the Baltic Sea project, teaching in southern Germany, where it's as close to the Mediterranean as it is to the Baltic Sea, I said to the people, well, show me what this is about. And here are some examples what the Baltic Sea project is about. It's about young people doing a lot of things. Cooking, for example, right? When you run a camp, such as the one we were supposed to be at right now on Årø, people have to cook. And this wasn't a German I'm showing. This was a Swedish lady, because it was an international cooking group. And one of them, at least one of them, was from Sweden. As we do most of the things internationally, this is again a picture from 2019 from the Årø camp. People sitting together in tents, and you can't really tell what nations they are from. I think we had all or most of the nations together in this camp, and they are heavily working in some workshop here in the camp on the little island of Årø 2019, as well as these ones here doing some presentation on what we can do, if you can read that here, right? What can we do? That was a kind of result they presented to a larger audience in the camp. We were at least 100 people together there. Of course, this is about fun. It is about going out, feeling the air, feeling the water, being together and doing good stuff together. That is very important. And apart from Nick here on the right side, you can see Dennis here also being responsible for the camp, and 2 former students. Nick, I guess they aren't with us any longer, but they had responsible jobs in the camp in 17 and in 19 also. So the BSP is about people, of course. It is also about responsible people. This is the current general coordinator, Ira from Finland, from Helsinki. It is a 3-year term. Countries take the responsibility of a general coordination. So from 19 to 21, it is Finland taking this responsibility with Ira as a person. And this is a very inspiring lady from Denmark who had the general coordination from 2000 to 2003. She inspired me a lot when I started. Birte Zimmermann from Sønderborg in Denmark. And these are the general coordinators, well, not all general coordinators, but some of them. The picture was taken in 2006. You can see Birte Zimmermann again from Denmark. This is Lisa Jääskeläinen, the one who founded the Baltic Sea Project in 1989 from Finland, and some others. It's all women, as you can see. So most of the general coordinators the Baltic Sea Project has had, including the current one from Finland, have been women. The Germans who attended the Baltic Sea Project, that was my class a long time ago, they had to find out that Danes are making fires in the summer, right? In June, when it doesn't really get dark outside. That is something Germans don't do, also because it gets dark outside in the night, even in the summer, but it doesn't in Denmark. So it was a lot of intercultural things we had to work with. The Danes, for example, had to find out that Trier, where I used to teach a little bit later, was a Roman town with a 2,000-year-old gate, which the Danes thought was very interesting. This is a picture from Estonia. That is one of the former general coordinators. Another one, again, a lady from Estonia, working with a lot of things in a camp or in a conference in Estonia. The BSP is producing books, right? We don't just meet and talk in workshops and conferences such as we do this week. We also sometimes produce books and other publications because it's interesting to talk about the good things and to write about the good things and to publish the good results the BSP is working with. But of course, we also go out and dig in the Wadden Sea, as we did here. You could see it's the wrong sea, right? It's not the Baltic Sea, because the Wadden Sea is on the other side of Jutland at the North Sea. But anyway, it was close, and that's why we did that. And here's another quite nice experience from southern Germany, where I taught in those times. We had an international group there. In southern Germany, as you can see here, it has slopes where people grow wine. And this is wine growing here, and this is the one who produces the wine. And this was a seminar about ecological wine growing. And when it comes to wine, it is not just about, it shouldn't just be about talking about the wine. It should also have something to do with wine tasting, right? So this is the glasses, and we learned a true lot in this international group. And we, of course, didn't just look at the wine after that. And that was a very nice experience, international experience in the Baltic Sea Project. Dead forests is a problem in Germany. It was in the 80s, and not only in Germany, in many countries in Europe, due to acid rain. And in the time the Baltic Sea Project has been existing from 1989, which is here on the left side, until, well, it goes until 2015. You can see one of the reasons for this acid rain and for the dying forests, the sulfur oxides that were emitted in the atmosphere. They were quite high at the very beginning, and during all this time, they fell. It's, of course, not only because there has been a Baltic Sea Project all the time, but what I wanted to show you, and I'm back now at the beginning of all this today, when we asked these three questions, things are getting better. The sulfur oxides are going down. The trees, the forests are getting better. They might have other problems today, but some problems have been solved. And the Baltic Sea Project has supported these development with a lot of educational things that happened internationally. A little word about history. If you're from Denmark, you probably know these two dates. The 18th of April, 1864, that was a date when Danes and Germans fought each other in southern Denmark in a place called Dybbøl. The Germans won, and this is why Denmark shrinked at that time. And the 9th of April in 1940, in the early days of World War II, it was Germany invading Denmark. Still a thing Danes remember every year, which is very understandable. That was one of the really bad stories from Germany in World War II. So history, why talking about history when we talk about the Baltic Sea Project? It is because such people here, the eldest president ever of the United States, right? He's 78 years old today. He was born in 1942. So when World War II came to an end in 1945, he was 2.5 years old. I'm telling you this story because we talk about sustainability. We talk about talking about the environment. We talk about biology. We talk about climate change, about all these important things. There is one more important thing than just the environment, and that is the living together peacefully. Because when this man was born, a terrible war was over, and all these people today who are in power, he's one of the oldest in the world, haven't experienced a war. There has been peace in Europe, and that is, of course, a good thing. Well, I need to say that right like this. There has been peace all the time, but peace isn't just something that is there and will stay forever if we don't take care of it. So one of the tasks of the BSP, of all these countries in this area around the Baltic Sea, is working together, because people who know each other, who have been partying together, who have cooperated, they probably won't shoot at each other. So that is one of the tasks the BSP, what I think, has. Some publications the BSP has been producing. I'm jumping over this and I'm getting to my last thing, that is a conference we had in 2018. And you say students in charge here. That is another thing the BSP is working with and will be working with in the future. Putting students on the stage, having students in focus, students in charge, students making decisions, students talking to a lot of people, students leading workshops, of course, guided by teachers and other people, but putting students in focus. And one last thing is, on this picture here. This is a dear friend and colleague, Katrin Peters, who is working for the UNESCO schools in Germany. And this lady here is from South Korea. During one of our last conferences in 2018, some of you were there, as far as I know. This lady was here with a delegation from the South Korean UNESCO Commission to take a look at what we're doing there, because the BSP, what the BSP is doing with these 9 countries, the BSP is giving an example, or at least that's what these people in Eastern Asia think. The idea of 9 nations that have been at war with each other in historical times, that have been working together for more than 30 years now, peacefully and with a lot of good things, that is an example for other world regions, maybe. For example, the Eastern Asian region with South Korea and Japan and the Philippines and Vietnam and Taiwan and China and other countries. I have no idea whether they have started such a cooperation yet. At least I haven't heard of it. But I know Geddy, who is looking at me right now, sitting in the studio here, is working closely, cooperating closely with a dear colleague from Japan. So there are people who are looking at us and maybe taking something from what we are doing to their world regions. So this is the Baltic Sea Project, a short introduction into what we are doing. You see, if you're interested in such an international cooperation, there will be a place for you in the Baltic Sea Project, not only in your country, but in the international cooperation. So this is an invitation, and have a lot of fun in this camp here now. Yeah, Nick, I'm ready. If there are any questions, I am, of course, happy to answer some questions. I don't hear anything.
So, sorry, Martin, I made the same mistake with that muting problem. So I was just taking a look at that. I think you answered some of them. We had, we had one question about how many, or which specific countries we have in the Baltic Sea Project, but you mentioned that already.
Should I share my screen again to just let them look at it?
Just yeah, sure. What? No, I mean, I was actually going to try to go in order, right? From see if I could even do it myself, right? We have Finland, and then we go to Sweden, Denmark, Germany, Poland, and now the order. That's where I have my difficulties here.
And don't miss the small ones.
That's right. Well, that's right. We have Estonia and Lithuania and Estonia. Wait, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. Yeah, that's right. I know the 3. I just don't know the order, right? But you're sharing your screen again, I think, right? And then we have Russia, and then we finish the circle with Finland again.
Here we are. Right. So 9 countries around the Baltic Sea. And all of them are with us. Sweden isn't that active at the moment, but all of us are a part of the Baltic Sea project. More than 200 schools in all these countries. And there's, of course, space for more. I know there are people here from schools who aren't a member of the Baltic Sea project. So if you think it might be an idea for you to be a part of it in the future, let me know, and we'll find a way for you to be with us. This is for the German schools, of course. If you're from another country, it is, of course, the idea is talking to your national coordinator about all this.
All right. So then I think we can continue. We don't have any other questions about that, Martin. Thank you very much. It's one of the stories I asked Martin to share that as well. It's one of those stories that one of the first stories he told me as well about 4 or 5 years ago when I entered the Baltic Sea Project network, and I never really had the peace project part of it. It just wasn't really clear to me, and that was something I just think is incredibly important. And Martin was also the one when we were talking about UNESCO. What is the goal of UNESCO? Like, could we put it like in 1 or 2 words, and that's, well, all right. If you have to, then world peace. There you go. There's 2 words, and that's what this project is also about. And so thank you for sharing that, Martin. All right. We have different programs. So I talked about kind of the organizational structure, that we have the international network, the national networks, and then the schools. But we also try, organizing this international event, or also some other events that we organize. This is part of like different programs. So this is kind of the kickoff for our global citizenship education program. And I'll be coordinating that over the next 6 years. And so there'll be other events, whether it's teacher and student trainings, whether it's camps, whether it's online webinars and that sort of thing. And that'll all be about kind of this transformative education. What do we need in order to be, take action? And we have another program, and that's the Citizen Science program. And so I'm going to pass it over to Geddy, who is also the national coordinator for Estonia, but also the coordinator for the Baltic Sea Project Citizen Science program. And she's going to tell us a little bit about that. And and maybe we had some questions about the BioBlitz. So make sure, Geddy, that you say something about the BioBlitz, and that they'll definitely get some information about that, because that belongs to the Citizen Science program. All right, Geddy, I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So my name is Geddy Matisen. I'm from Estonia. At the moment, I'm sitting in Tartu city. It's a city in south of Estonia, and we have a sunny day, so sunny evening. I'll try to share my screen, and I will answer the question about BioBlitz as well. So let's see if I can share my screen. I think you can see it. Okay, cool. Thank you. So I'm going to talk about just a little bit for you about Citizen Science program. First of all, thank you all for coming. Thank you all for sitting in front of computers and watching this. You will get to know more about the camp program. This is the introduction day, and soon you will know more. First of all, the Baltic Sea Project have sent out students and teachers around the Baltic Sea for over 30 years. Since 1989, basically, we have observed nature in different forms. And I wanted to tell you that this is something that all the countries have been involved at the beginning, and now it has taken different forms. It all started out with a paper form. Everybody had a paper form. They went into the nature, took the notes on the paper, sent the paper to the international coordinator. There was somebody who was, for example, collecting information about coastline, or somebody who was collecting information about birdwatch. So we have done this in this network of schools a long time. And then the second layer was we got emails, we got PDFs, we got Word files, and then we started sending emails. The next step was that there were kind people who helped us to self-build an application. We had many flaws in that application. It worked somehow, didn't work sometimes. So now we're in the stage where we are using international databases and platforms so we can actually help as citizens all over the Baltic Sea. So you, if you're listening to me at the moment, you can be a scientist helper. You can be the citizen scientist. That means that you only basically need a smartphone or a computer. You need to download an app to your phone or to go to the web page. In international cooperation, we are using a lot of this iNaturalist because it has a really good scientist community there. So even the scientists that are not around the Baltic Sea are there. And so if you upload a picture of a lichen, for example, or you find a bug, some kind, you upload the picture there. You don't know who it is, but you upload it anyway, making it a question mark. So there will be the community of scientists who will go and watch your picture and say, oh, I know, this is that species, and we're really interested in that in our project, for example. So it's your opportunity to help the scientists. And we have many platforms. The three other platforms here, you see on the slide, these are used in Estonia, but in the recent coming years, when you are involved in the Baltic Sea project, we might be able to use them internationally as well, if they're getting more easier to use. Anyway, old times we had many programs in Baltic Sea, but now we are more focusing citizen science. And when I talk about citizen science, I'm thinking about volunteers monitoring and researching outside in the nature. So volunteers can be anyone who has the interest and anyone who has the time and the willingness to go outside. Teachers, students, directors, whoever at work, you take a pause at work, go outside, shoot some pictures of the different species, and it helps. And it helps because the scientists can reach then a little bit farther than they usually can go, because cannot go everywhere. So we are the extensions of their hands. And to know that citizen science programs, they're actually very popular in all over the world. And it's not only about biodiversity, which is very important definitely for sustainable development. Without the biodiversity, without the natural resources, we cannot continue as humankind. But we can also check out the planets, the stars. We can even help to treat Alzheimer. We can help geologists. So there's many citizen science programs you can actually take part in every day. There were possibilities in the Baltic Sea project. So around the Baltic Sea, the Baltic Sea is very endangered in many ways. And around the Baltic Sea, we can watch the coast together. We can see how much the microplastic is there. We can watch the rivers because the plastic and all the pollutants come from inland to the sea. We can check all the water quality in rivers, even in ponds. We can check the air quality using the lichen as bioindicators. We can even watch the spring coming and see where in what country the spring signs, what kind of species are coming before, so we know if we have any impacts of climate change. And we can look at the birds when they're coming, when they're going, and help to count them. and we can celebrate different UN days with those activities. The last BioBlitz we had was about lichens. It was quite popular, and we got really nice results. And the indications here show the green is the indication that is showing good air quality. The red one is showing bad air quality. This means these kind of lichens lived where the air quality, they're very tolerant to different pollutants. So this really gives us information about different areas. So today, at this moment, we are launching another BioBlitz during our camp. You can be part of it. It will last 36 hours. So you will be part of it when you register to our BioBlitz. You will then receive an email to your inbox. You go to your email and you will get the set of rules how to take part of it. But this is very important that you go and register before. So registration link, I think I will put the registration link here as well into the chat box right after I finish, just in case if you have not noticed it. The registration is very important, but before you register, we want you to go to iNaturalist and create an account. So you will have a username, and please, if you register, send the username to me. There's a form that you register and you have to write your username in there. So if I get your username, I will take it manually and add it to this project. So I have to go here, edit project, and add your username manually. So you can already go outside, take the pictures, and it automatically then adds all your observations here. So I also sent as an answer here, I hope we forward it to the Slido, that there's this set of rules in a PDF form. You will get by email, but we can also share the link for the PDF here. So everything is very clearly in the rules, and hopefully there's a lot of participants. At the moment, there is already almost 40 who has registered. So there's a lot of work for me then. So right after I finish, I will check how many new ones we have had. So, and to finish my ideas here, is that the citizen science program is part of global citizenship education and is part of sustainable development education. And we will continue with it with different methods, with different ways. And only by working together, collaborating and sharing results, we can grow as humankind. So thank you.
So thank you very much, Getty.
I don't know if I've had any questions.
Oh, that's a good question. Let me take a look real quick. I don't think there was anything. So I shared the one message. I kind of did a shout out on Slido, so everybody can see that. That's the download, downloading the rules. And Getty, if you share a different link in there to the sign up form, then I would also kind of put that as a shout out so that people can really then click on there as well, and do that then later. But there are no more. One quick question here, because we did. It says, what about the BioBlitz? How will that be? So we have 36 hours. When do the 36 hours start? When are we going to start? Are we going to start that tomorrow morning?
Officially, it starts now. So you can already go out tonight, because we need to finish it up in the evening of 6th, because then we need to have some time to do the results. So I will send it to everybody, and you can even tonight, you can go already outside and start taking photos. Yeah.
Wonderful. And I have another question here. I managed to find a beautiful cowslip yesterday. Can I use the photo today?
There's somebody asking that.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Very.
Yes. If you have a picture of cowslip, you can also upload it to iNaturalist, And to know more about the cowslip project, there will be 2 separate workshops tomorrow, one for teachers and one for students, where we will exactly tell you what to look when you have a cowslip, if you find it, if it's a L or S, and what difference is that. And then tomorrow we will have more info about it. So when you're very interested of taking part of this, you can choose the workshop tomorrow to join with that one.
Wonderful. Okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So then we're going to continue, and I'm extremely happy that that Kerstin is going to be our keynote speaker. And sometimes you have this introduction, Kerstin Willmans, and she does this and that, and I'm not even going to start like that, Kerstin. I'm going to start a little differently, because we had Martin Jarat here, and when we talk about transformation, right, this is something, it's not just transforming societies, it's not transforming our planet, but it starts with us. And I told you all about 5 years ago, I didn't know what global citizenship education was. I wasn't involved in any type of UNESCO network. I didn't know anything about any of these things. And it was Martin. He was that first person just in my life who just kind of opened up my eyes and said, opened up my heart to something else. And so when you really started to kind of feel that other things are more important, and this kind of personal transformation, this personal journey of mine, that continued about 2.5 years ago then, when I joined an innovation lab for the topic of global citizenship education. And Kerstin was one of the 2 who helped organize that, put that together, bring people together from different schools working on projects. And again, when I went into there, I was like, okay, now I want to do something good for the world. And it was all kind of content based. It was all on this like knowledge content based. But the way we worked together as a group was something I had just never experienced before. And whenever we're talking about like this, this deeper level of cooperation and collaboration, and really kind of feeling the importance of this work, and feeling, kind of starting to understand the why, like, why am I doing something? Why? What do I want? What's my purpose? What do I really want to do? What am I feeling? And that wasn't there until I met Kerstin. And so I'm just really glad that she's here to talk a little more about global citizenship education and also the OECD campus. Kerstin, I'm going to give it to you, and please also introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are. And yeah, it's all yours. Oh, you are muted, Kerstin. We've all managed to do this once already.
I'll do that.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Nick. That's most probably one of the nicest introductions I've ever gotten. So thank you very much. I share my screen with you and hope that, do you see it? Yeah, right?
Yep.
Yeah, super. You asked me to speak about the OECD Learning Compass 2030 and and to see how it applies to global citizens, right? And we are talking today to you. Very warm welcome from Berlin. I'm Kerstin Willmans. I am here a teacher at Evangelische Schule Berlin Zentrum, which is one of the Protestant schools here in Berlin. I'm also founder and board member of the Global Goals Curriculum, which is an initiative which innovatively implements education for sustainability and global citizenship education within schools. And I'm also a leader of the engagement and implementation of the working group carrying on the OECD Learning Compass 2030. So I have 3 roles, and these 3 roles I'm here today. And let's start. This is our school. Actually, the trees have a little bit more leaves on them already, but the sun wasn't shining today, so I used that photograph. And you see here the General Assembly Hall. And as a teacher here at the school, in my role, I am coordinating the Life and Work Skills program. So this is all about creativity, project management skills, communication skills, empathy, self-organization, all that what many people refer to as 21st century skills. So the not disciplinary, but the over-disciplinary, the interdisciplinary, and wider competences you need. And I develop together with Nick, as you can see him here, sitting together with other teachers and students from a school here in Freiburg in southern Germany, where we work together at this Innovation Lab, Global Citizenship Education. And that's something I do in several projects together with teachers and students and other people, where we develop new learning formats and new approaches towards education. And in my third role, I develop together with many other people, with students, with teachers, with researchers, with policymakers, and with NGOs and teacher trainers and so forth in the OECD project Education 2030. The OECD is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, which was founded 60 years ago, and it's 37 member countries, and it started off with working together to economically grow and be sound and develop well. But they are now also focusing on well-being issues and specifically education. And that's why this project started. And here you can see me. I'm up there here on the here, and there are students from Japan, because this conference was led and initiated by students in Japan just this March. And it was all around the Learning Campus and also the well-being of people, individual well-being and societal well-being, because it was the Fukushima incident was 10 years ago, and they had this conference, which was wonderful. It was over the weekend, so that was some effort to participate there on Saturday and Sunday, but it was wonderful. And this session, Mahiro, she's a student here. I think she's 18 years old. She facilitated the session on well-being. And at this point, I would like to ask you, Nick, to put this question on Slido, because I would like to ask you, what do you need to be well in the current situation? So when we're talking about well-being, and you have 1 year of COVID, of extreme conditions you are learning as a teacher, you have extreme conditions for your teaching and providing learning settings for your students. And as students, you have to work at home or under very specific conditions. So if you think about what you've experienced the last year, what do you need to be well in the current situation? Is it running, Nick?
Yeah, so I just started it about 7 or 8 seconds ago. Mm-hmm. It always takes some time, though. We have about 7 to 10 seconds lag time. So, but the first answers are coming in right now. So I will actually start to share my screen in just a second. One moment. Need to get there first.
This fantastic thing is that with the Learning Compass, we look at the overall goal is well-being. And well-being is on an individual level, so my personal well-being, but it's also about collective well-being. So feeling good and feeling safe and having a good working environment as a grown-up, a good job, or as a student, having a nice school and having the opportunity to learn well. And these well-being parameters, they influence each other, and that is why well-being as an overall goal is so important, and to have a clear view on what you want to achieve for you personally, what you need, and the communities you live in, what do you expect from them, but also what are they providing for you to feel good, to develop well, and have a safe environment, sustainable. I mean, Martin and Geddy just talked about so many issues, so biodiversity and all these other issues, and that is what we are aiming for. Any results? Nick?
Yes, so we should have the results now. Do you also see them, Kerstin, on your screen?
I don't see them, but...
One second.
What you can also do is to just read out the most important ones.
But I should have. So I should be able to.
Okay. What do we see here? The emotional support of loved ones, and that is very big, right? Socializing, support from friends and family, my friends and family around me, support of social network, quietness. This is not so easy to get, right, these days, especially when you live in a bigger city or with many people in a house. To listen to music, physical touch, support of social network. The access to vaccines is here. My cat, socializing, going outside. And so this is very much about being close to other people, to be part of a community. And you see how important it is to be part of a community. And in your family, but also in your school or in the organization you work. And in these days, we realized how we lacked it, and how we were separated from each other. Thank you very much, Nick. I go back to my presentation. You have to...
Yeah, I think it should work now.
Okay, there we go. Okay. Thank you so much for taking part in this. And this is where it all started in 2015. The OECD set out in 2015 with a project and with the question, what knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values need today's students to thrive and shape their world? So the individual life and also the overall society. And this is individual. In Germany, we would say Wohlbefinden, persönlich, and Wohlergehen when it comes to society. We use different words for it, but it applies to persons and also to communities and societies. So this is the vision. This is what we want to achieve by the Learning Compass, and with the Sustainable Development Goals. And I guess all of you have seen them already. That's a vision for such a well-being on an individual level, to have access to good education, to don't be hungry, to have access to good water, but also on societal level. And in answer to this, the OECD team, us, I mean the students and the teachers and the policymakers and so on, developed the Learning Compass. The goal is individual and collective well-being. It starts with every one of us, with me. When I am well, if I feel good and I have a good surrounding, I have an influence also on my family, and my family provides well-being for me. So this is interconnected. Not just the family, but also my close friends. They're very important. So this is me and my closer community. And that's what you just answered in this Slido poll, is very, very important. And we missed that a lot last year, because we as human beings, we need that. The well-being of us and our closer circle also has influence and enhances the quality of well-being in the organizations we work in or we live in the communities. And for us as teachers and as students, it's the school. For other people, it's the companies they work in, or it's the football club or so on. They're very active in. So that is the closer community. When it comes from the school perspective, we are very close to our teachers as students, or as a teacher. It's very our fellow teachers and our students, and for students also the relationship to our friends. Some of them are also our peers in school, but there are many more students. And so the well-being of me influences the well-being of my community, and the community, how the school is run, how the school culture is influencing my personal well-being. And this goes so far. So the wider community, to live in a city here in Berlin, or in the countryside, smaller or larger communities, we are all part of a system, and this is also interlinked. So the school, you here in the Baltic Sea project, you are working transnationally, and it's a regional approach. So there's also the well-being of the Baltic Sea area is one goal of the Baltic Sea project. And it has a country and a regional perspective, and then comes the global perspective. So the better the well-being of me as individuals, summing up to communities, is influencing the well-being of the planet. And in return, the planet, I mean, right now with climate change, that has influence on the well-being of countries and communities which are affected by climate change, and that has also an influence on my personal well-being. So this is very important to know, that well-being has different levels and they are all interconnected. The OECD Learning Compass wants to enable the development of students to develop the capacity, the knowledge, the skills and the attitudes of and values to reach this well-being, to take care of their own individual well-being and also of the well-being of the societies they live in. We look at core foundations. Here's the literacy and numeracy, also digital and data literacy. This is very important because in some countries it's not, digital and data literacy is not everywhere a common standard in the core foundations. Mental health, and obviously physical health, and also social emotional foundations. And that is something which is very important these days because we can't take care of that as we want to. Then comes the transformative competencies, and these are the competencies which enable you to create solutions to very complex and big problems, like the climate change problem, or like handling this COVID crisis, not as a student, obviously, but as a teacher or a policymaker in the ministry. You need these transformative competencies to find innovative solutions to very complex problems. You have to reconcile tensions and dilemmas. I mean, because one person is saying this, another person is saying that. I don't know how it is in your countries. In Germany these days, there's a huge discussion what should be allowed and what not. So this is a real challenge. And this is a skill to be able to reconcile tensions and dilemmas and taking over responsibility and say, okay, I'm going to solve this problem and I'm in charge. And this, to be able to hold this compass and navigate through an uncertain world, that is the aim of the OECD Learning Compass. By developing all these knowledge, skills, attitudes, and values, you develop your student agency. This is the capability to set a goal, reflect, how am I going to achieve that, and responsively affect change. And it's the ability and the will to positively shape my life, my learning, and also the world around me. And I like the concept of student agency and co-agency, because the student agency can only be developed in co-agency with your friends, your peers at school, with the teachers, with your parents, and the wider communities. So this is the Learning Compass. And Nick, if there are any questions in between, just let me know. Otherwise, I just go on. But if there are questions coming up, I'm happy to answer them. But maybe I'm answering them along the way anyways. So this is the Learning Compass. And the good thing is, student agency, it was co-created also by students. So here's the group of students with whom we developed at OECD project, the Learning Compass. They're coming from all around the world. And I would have been happy that here I asked Selina, she's here in the middle, she's from Denmark, and she participated a lot in this project. And but she was not able to join today, because she could have presented with me, which would have been wonderful, because it's a co-creation project of students and teachers, researchers, and so forth. What they said when we launched this Learning Compass in 2019 in Vancouver is that they want to make sure that education adapts to allow us, the students, to take real action, to solve real world problems, and even that's a hard word for me, unprecedented new problems. The thing is that not just learning about theoretically about climate change, it's all about taking action, solving real problems. And that's what this citizen science project is for, which Geddy introduced, or what Martin talked about, the Baltic Sea project. That's it, that there's real problems out there, and we are able to solve them together. And you, obviously, as students, and also together with your teachers. So that means to achieve this goal, to acquire these competencies, we have to redesign learning together. And this is Martin's not here anymore. That was shot in a meeting with the UNESCO schools in this Climate Action School project. And here you see teachers together with students who talk about what they want to. That was the first planning action, actually. And since then, and I think some of you might be here today of the schools who participated there. Would be interesting to know. If anyone of you is here, please let us know and put it in the chat. And since then, we came a long way. How can we enable these competencies? We have to create learning sessions together with you, that participation in class is a standard, so that students and teachers decide together about what kind of topics in projects they want to work on, and how, for instance, here the classroom in our school, how they want to decorate the class, stuff like that. We can't learn democracy if we don't participate, all of us, in and take over responsibility. This is our grades 11 to 13, and they even are involved, and also the younger ones, in school development processes. And that is what is democracy all about, is that we participate, that we raise our voice, and we take over responsibility. And we collaborate and innovate in projects, and that's what the Baltic Sea project is all about. And also working interdisciplinary, and also working together with different grades. So here you see a project here at our school. It's 9th graders up to 12th graders. They're preparing a project that is a 1-week project on sustainable fashion, and they created some new ideas. They were creative together, so to be able to be creative and solve problems. And here you see that's the Instagram account they created to market their how do you say this? When you share old swap new, they called it, when you share old clothing and you bring it, and then you get some other old ones from other words. You're just exchanging them. It's actually a cloth exchange fair somehow, and experience impact together. And this is actually it was incredible, because parents were involved, universities around our school were involved, the community, and many people brought their old clothes, and it was amazing. I think up to 1,000 clothes were exchanged at this wonderful day here in Berlin, and that's what it's all about. It's we have this how to deal with sustainably with fashion, and we created different solutions. This is just one solution of how we can go about sustainability in fashion. This was a year, 2 years ago, but you can also do this online. So this is in February, we have 1 week projects where the 11, no, the 12 and the 13 graders, no, the 10th and the 13 graders work together interdisciplinary in projects. And this is just an example of artificial intelligence and discrimination. And it took place online and was very successful. It was a lot of fun. We collaborated here with Education Innovation Lab, and it was wonderful to see what can be done online. And by that, creating new solutions, becoming social entrepreneurs out of some of the ideas, really a small business and even larger business are created. Here's a school I visited in Canada when we launched the Learning Compass. And this guy here, he started with researching on electromobility, and it went bigger and bigger. And then he got funding and a team, and now he is at a university and developing a big electric car. So something like that can happen. It can grow and become, and it was his interest, but it went bigger and bigger. You can become citizen scientists. That's what I got from the website, Nick. That is Geddy. And just doing small things. It can be big and can be very small, but all together, that's global citizenship, that everything comes together and that we all add to it with our interests. I love gardening, so I would definitely do something about gardening and biodiversity, Geddy. I would be in it, and do things like that. You can collaborate internationally. This is here on the left-hand side. That's Miguel from Mexico, and they had a lot of fun doing this collaboration work on the Learning Compass. But you can, and you do that already internationally in the Baltic Sea project, obviously. You can do it in your municipality. This is an example. Our school in our project, we started supporting mother. She is a graphic designer and in an external foundation, and they put together this book, which is around plastic garbage and what role do I play in this circle. It is going to be presented in 2 days, and I can provide the link for the German who are able to read in German, because it's you can have copies for free. That's an example. And you can start very small, directly at your home. On the left-hand side, you see it's all about collecting old clothes for homeless people. That's one of our service learning initiative here at our school from 9th graders. And you can take about the garbage problem. I don't know how it is in your cities. Berlin is, there's so many garbage out there because everyone is eating outside, taking away and having their lunches and their dinners in parks. And this is creating a garbage problem. Things like that, you can just start right here. So all this fun finding solutions to problems is and the capability to do that. That is all what is the Learning Compass is all around, to develop the student agency and the co-agency to enable people to solve problems and to make a good life for themselves, their communities, and the society. And students, teachers, and others working together is the basis for that, because ideas get better. You can really ask students if you want to develop learning environments. And Nick, I'm not wrong to say that it was wonderful to have students here in this workshop sessions with us. That was very creative, right? He's nodding.
Yes, yes, very much.
And it's no excuse that it's COVID times, because you can all do that virtually. That's here a whiteboard, a mural board we use for one of our projects in Baden-Württemberg, which is in southern Germany. Students co-creating with teachers a new learning room for collaboration and community projects. And it was wonderful to see how they used it and developed their ideas. And one of the really important prerequisites for good development of competencies and collaboration is having fun together. And Nick, you said so in the beginning, we had a lot of fun together, but we worked hard. There is so much ambition in our group, but still we have a lot of fun. There's a lot of trust and creating good relationships. And I see that also in your project, the Baltic Sea projects. You get together and you develop the trust, and that makes you, that makes the good basis for collaboration and working together, intergenerational, cross-country, interdisciplinary, doesn't matter. So, I'm already almost done. And here I would like to ask you, Nick, could you do that?
Yes, I just started it. So again, as always, it's kind of strange, we have to somehow talk together for 10 or 15 seconds, right? While the live stream is being
and there's always
being sent.
I was running through quickly because we were a bit late back in time. I hope it was not too fast and run you through the slides. But on a scale from 1 to 10, how well can you develop your agency, your problem-solving skills, your creativity, your empathy, your capability to solve in real-world problems, solutions? How can you develop your agency currently?
So I'm also, just a second, I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to, let me see here. So I'll stop your screen sharing. Then I'll go to mine. We'll see if I get this to work better this time.
Look at that. That's great. At least, look at that. 31% think they can, they can develop their agency for, say, well, a little. And we have to work at that, and we have to definitely work at the 4 to 13%ers where they say, "Oh, I can do it a little bit," and that's what the Baltic Sea project is all about, and also things like the initiatives like the Global Citizenship Education Innovation Lab, to make it a standard in school to learn actively. And many of you have the opportunities, especially in UNESCO schools. There's so many initiatives, but to not make it just outside of school in the afternoon, but also part of the life in school, and be able to introduce that more. And that would be lovely now, Nick, to come to the last question.
Yes, 1 second. So I think, let's see, I can.
Where I want to ask you, what do you need to better develop your agency? So what do you need to better develop your agency? Just write whatever word, whatever concept, whatever idea comes to your mind.
So let's see, what are we looking at right now? Are we still looking at the old one?
No, we are looking at the new one. Free
Perfect.
time, money.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Independence, creativity, time, team of enthusiasts, very important. Support from active people. You're right. It's always good to get started. Free time. I got that. Money. Time is big. Boldness. Workspace. Skills and relationship. And it's all about also free time, time and support, money, team of enthusiasts, creativity, confidence in myself, so important. And to get started, because by doing it, you develop your confidence. When you do something and you're successful, all of a sudden you feel, oh, I can do that. And as a student and as a teacher, what Nick just told us earlier, right? He was like, no, and all of a sudden, oh, it feels good. I can do it, right? And he's changed a lot of things, right, Nick?
Yeah, and interestingly enough, right? I guess I have the same amount of time. I think that's interesting to see this subject. You know, when I see a lot of these words, I like to ask people to ask yourself the why question, right? Why do you need time? Then, you know, the because with time I would do, and then we get closer to, you know, the actual why question. What's maybe really important,
and then come to the why. Do you want to do it? Because as a teacher, I want to support my students to be able to have a real good life and to take over responsibility and to develop the attitudes and the values. I want to do that. And from a student's point of view, I can try out things. I can try in school where my interests lie. What is interesting? Why do I want to try all the different things out and to be able to do that in projects, and also to find out, am I a good organizer? Am I a visionary person? Am I a leader? And can I gather people around me? Can I talk to the municipality? Stuff like that. How to finance a project? I've seen projects run by students who were totally independent after a while. It took a while, but then they financed their projects independently, and the teacher and the school didn't have to do anything. It was incredible. So things like that can happen. Support from active people, we had that. Confidence, courage is so important. Discipline, actually, good point, is important. You have to have this sense of achievement, but sometimes you have to dig into it, and sometimes it's not easy and it's hard. But then when you have this, you succeed, and then you have this feeling, oh, I can do that, I can do it. That's so wonderful. The sense of achievement, and that is something where you really change something. So. We are here at the end. I think I have a last slide, but I'm not sure if I shall show it or shouldn't I, because I can do, because you just showed us, be courageous and change the world. You need courage. And no matter where you are, how old you are, if you are in 5th grade, if you're in 12th grade, or if you're a teacher, coordinator, you have to sometimes get out of your comfort zone, do things differently, try it out, and you have to address sometimes to people around you and find people who work with you. And that is maybe the biggest challenge. Thank you.
Thank you, Kerstin. That was wonderful. There was, it's one of the points that I always wanted to make, kind of back and forth with, what is global citizenship education? And we've talked about it too. And it's, call it call it whatever you want. I realize there's so many people out there. They've been doing this for 30 or 40 years, and when I started getting involved, it's like this, these big eyes, and I'm like, wow, and this and that and everything, and you start talking about other teachers, and they've been doing that for 30, 35 years. It's just kind of, the history repeats itself. And there's always been this group of people focusing on transformative qualities of education, because they also realized 30 years ago, that's what we really need.
And UNESCO schools they're doing such a lot, but when it comes to with certain schools, you're sometimes also, as a UNESCO coordinator in school, you're quite on your own or with a smaller team, right? And the challenge is to widen that base and to involve more colleagues into the work, and to get them involved, and get every student involved in projects, and the goal is to really implement it into the curriculum, and this is an overall goal, obviously, that everyone has the chance to do that in school, and to get also as a teacher the support and the partners and the time and the freedom to develop. And we know that this is a challenge, very different in the different countries. And but this is a huge issue, because there are so many colleagues who want to change ways. So students, there are a lot of teachers who want to do things differently, but it's not always that easy. and so we need the courage ourselves as teachers, and we need you to remind us we have to change things, and all of us have to address that to the policymakers to support the work in schools.
All right. Thank you so much. So, yeah, we don't have any other questions in chat. Maybe something will come. We'll see, and then we can address that as we go along. Yeah, that just fits to everything that I know about the Baltic Sea project, what we're trying to do, and when I think about the good projects that we get going, then it has very much to do with agency and co-agency as well, and so many new concepts of kind of communicating at eye level, working together at eye level, students and teachers together. It's what we try at these camps too, where we try to get teachers and students together, also in some of the same workshops, working together at eye level. And you already mentioned it too as well with what Getty was saying. It's one of the things I think is the wonderful part about the camps we actually do and live on the island is that it's partly the group of students. Martin mentioned that. It's the group of students who builds up this camp. So they organize it for the whole year. They do all of the tents, all of the cooking, many of the workshops. It's the students who are doing that and organizing that. So they're creating their own learning environment. So they're actually creating the little world that they're going to travel to and learn in. And when I think about that, I always think that's how it needs to be. Yeah. And in, I don't know, digital times, we need to keep thinking in this direction. So I'm going to kind of take that idea and go in more of the same direction, I would say, with some other examples. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now, and let's see, 1 second, we'll have it in. Okay. And talk a little bit more about global citizenship education, and it's what we've been doing. It's everything that Kerstin was just talking about. I just really want to focus on something that I call the human element. And 2017, when Dennis and I and some others and also the students were organizing this camp and we were advertising it, I came across this quote: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world." And the interesting thing is, I had never heard of global citizenship education at this point, but I really thought there was so much in this quote, and that's what I took. And so now, if let's say that this is true, right? So maybe you say, well, yeah, I don't even know if that's really true. It sounds nice, but is it true? Well, let's then ask ourselves the question, well, what would this small group of people need to change the world? What are they going to need to know? Which abilities, which motivation, attitude, values? These are things that Kerstin was always also mentioning in order to be able to do this. And that is global citizenship education. It's that which they need in order to be able to do this. And I think the word world can be extremely scary for some people, and it becomes, too big. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to have to go out into the world and change it. And I'd like to quote Mother Teresa, and she said, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family. And I heard something along the lines of, if you want to change the world, start with yourself. And when we think about these circles that we saw in Kerstin's presentation, that's the beginning. That can be your world, and that's where a lot of this starts. So when we're talking about changing the world, if we understand that every single system, ourselves as a system, family unit as a system, every system is connected with each other. And so if we positively change a system, and even if it's our own family, then we are going to be positively changing other systems as well. I'm going to talk a little bit about Otto Schama. He's a senior lecturer at MIT and the co-founder of the Presencing Institute. And he's basically dealt with transformative systemic change. So really kind of focusing on, how do we change systems out there, from individual systems to larger systems, the education system, etc. And so when asking the question then, so first of all, where are we now? I'll just start differently. I'll start with this first quote of his. And he says his observation is that we are collectively creating results that almost nobody wants. So when you think about it, many of the problems we have today, nobody actually wants this. We would love for everything to be wonderful, healthy planet, healthy society, healthy people. Very, very, very few people wish that to be a different way, but somehow we're creating these results, even though that's not necessarily what we want. And it's led, and you can divide it into different ways. He talks about a loss of nature, a loss of society, and a loss of self, and speaking about them as divides. And then he asks himself the question, where are we right now? What does he observe? What's in his opinion? And he says, we live in a moment of profound possibility and disruption. What is dying and disintegrating is a world of me first, bigger and better, special interest group driven decision making, competition as it's maybe being, the way forward. And that's when we're talking about transformative education, then I think it's important that we kind of make the shift, that we go to the root, that we don't just start talking, just only talk about like knowledge and skills and many of the things we're used to in school, that we are also courageous enough to dig deeper and really kind of start thinking about some of these mindsets in our society, not just our own, but in our society, and think about how can these be transformed? How can these be changed? So these divides that I was talking about with nature, society, and self, he refers to them as the ecological, social, and spiritual divide. And he says that these are just symptoms. So, I mean, we can go at them, we can start working on them right away, but these are systems of things that are much deeper. And for instance, structures. And a lot of the structures we can, so sometimes even like we have issues of racism and inequality right now, and where we're talking about these things now on a structural level, things that we haven't necessarily done. We've been very topical about that, and now we're really starting to deal with them on a structural level. When we think about the 17 goals for sustainable development. These goals are really challenging us, but also motivating us to look at problems at a structural level. But Sharma would also say we need to go deeper. We need to think about kind of the level of thoughts. And this is when if we look at education, for instance, then we have some different paradigms of thought, where we've for hundreds of years, we have become more analytical and really breaking down large systems into little systems and subsystems and focusing on all of these small things, cause and effect. And in the last few decades, a lot of people have started to say, whoa, stop. We can see this whole system. We need to take a step back and we need to start understanding systems on a much, much larger level. And these different thoughts, like in our education system, that we're breaking things down into subjects, very specific subjects, and we're talking about very specific content and competences, and our entire school system, university system, upper education, it's very much based on this analytical way of thinking, and that's gone on for hundreds of years. And it's very difficult, of course, to kind of break through this mindset that we need this knowledge in all of these different subjects in order to be successful. And we're starting to question that. What does success really mean? And now we can start thinking about the word like well-being as well. And then Sharma, he says, well, then below this thought, there must be some other source as well. And in my opinion, then, when we look at this source and ask ourselves, what is that? This is something that, and especially in referring now to global citizenship education, then I refer to this as the human element. And this is something that not a single person can ever really have. These are the relationships between humans. And I was so happy to see that. Like I said, me and Kerstin, we didn't even talk about this. And in her slide, she had this huge slide talking about these healthy relationships. And that's that's what transformative education is also about. Those are the foundations. For everything else above that are these really positive, healthy relationships. And I'd like to show you a short video now that depicts exactly what I'm talking about. And it's about 3 students that were at our last camp in 2019. And I asked them 3 questions and just interviewed them. And and this is what we have. So enjoy this little 5-minute video, and then we'll continue from there.
I'm Eric, and I was in the Årø 2019 camp.
Hi, I'm Leo, and I was a participant of the Baltic Sea Conference camp 2 years ago.
My name is Frederick, and I attended the camp back in September of 2019.
It was cool. It was great. And I honestly wish I could talk about it with these people that are going to see this video face to face.
And I've been asked to talk about the most memorable experiences I had, which must have been the first night we had a campfire and we just sat up.
I think the most meaningful moment of the camp was probably the first night. I remember we were sitting around like a big campfire. Nick asked us what has impacted our life this far, or has really impacted our life, the most impactful moment of our life so far. And I remember just everyone being really calm and opening up, just being themselves.
Talking about how we were doing and who we were, and just had a great time. And then we made the campfire, because it was such a great night. We made it last all week. So we would stay up all night, almost every night, taking shifts and just keep it going, which was...
It was just really nice to be yourself in front of others and realize that even the grumpy-looking Estonian guy was a real nice guy at heart.
I met some people at that camp that I still talk to. I think meeting them, both individually and as a group, really was huge. what was special about the camp? Oh wow, where do I begin? I think to me, what was really special about the camp were the people there.
I myself think that the most interesting part about the camp were the people that were there, and I think that's what made it incredibly special, because you got to know everyone on a really, really deep and personal level.
Just like this really mixed group of people with different perspectives and stories and just ideas.
You were just mixed together with Latvians, with Germans, with Swedish people, Finnish people, and everyone was just talking English, and everyone was really open, and they all just wanted to get to know one another, and it was really nice.
That's what really makes camps, these international camps, so special, that you get to see all of these different views and perspectives and everything.
The last question I got was, what has changed, or like how has my life changed up until now because of this camp? And I really think that I've gotten to know myself on a much deeper level, and I've become a lot more confident. I don't really care too much about what others think, because they're just people as well. They're just like me, and everyone is really accepting if you're just yourself.
The first thing I took away was an amazing group of friends that I still talk to, all from different countries, Danish guy, Finnish, Polish.
I've also, on top of that, met amazing people I still regularly talk to, and actually have also met privately apart from the camp. And I hold them really, really dear. And I think they really made the experience of the BSP conference really, really special.
And it's crazy. It really is. I never thought that you could take that much away from you from just a camp.
Because of that, I have just made some friends that I'll consider friends for life. And we still talk, even though they live in Sweden and Germany and Poland and Finland and Estonia or whatever. And I live here in Denmark.
What I do know is that the people you meet there, you can do amazing things with.
Because everyone also had that small connection of, hey, we are a part of the Baltic Sea countries. We're the Baltic Sea connects all of us.
Learn, hang out, have fun. It's amazing. It's cool. It's worth it. Do it. Go. Have fun. Don't watch more videos. Go do it already. Have some great times and make some memories.
The camp is, of course, about the learning stuff, but it's also about making new friends and having a great time. So keep that in mind.
I would do it again if I could. I would do it in a heartbeat. And that's all for me. Thanks for listening.
And that's all for me.
So that's, I guess I couldn't say it better than they said it. Just with those words, they could have said anything. It was one entire week of being at this camp, and that's what they took away. It was the relationships. It was these new people. It was that feeling that, you know, those people I met and the relationships we formed, they're going to be there forever, and I could do anything with these people. And some of these relationships were formed on a single night around that campfire. And that was something I wasn't aware of for a very long time. I've been planning these camps even before the international camps. I've been planning other camps for maybe the last 10 or 11 years. I wanted to organize things well. I didn't want things to go wrong. I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted good workshops. I wanted really good important content during the workshops. I wanted students to learn a lot. I wanted teachers to know how they could grade the students. These are the things I was concerned about. And it's, I'm inside of a school system that kind of puts pressure on me to do these things, but at the same time, I know that there are much, much more important things. And I would encourage any of you that are here to just, keep that keep that in your mind, in your heart. Just we feel that that there's more important things, and we still sometimes lose a grasp on that. So better relationships, it's one of these things. Sounds great, better relationships, but what does it lead to? And again, I'm kind of taking some of this from Otto Scharmer and thinking about, what does that actually lead to? And he says that better relationships lead to a higher quality of listening. And this goes much, it's not just what we're hearing inside of our ears. It's really, how we're listening to other people, ourselves, society, everything around us. And most of the day, we walk through the day just downloading. We're just reconfirming our worldview. It's we're judging things where we're saying, what's right and wrong. As teachers, we get used to that. Always, we're listening. We're only listening for right answers. We're not even open to learning a lot of the times. We're thinking about grades. And that second level is that factual listening. And even this is already, as an adult, if you're open to learn in every situation, in every situation that you're talking with somebody, also with your students, opening to learn from one another, then it's already at least this second level of listening. And something that I don't know, it's one of these like empathy. Some people just say, oh, I'm not an empathetic person. I can't do that. And that's how I was as well. And I was just like, I blocked like my entire road. So if you say you're not an empathetic person, you're not able to see through another person's eyes and really feel what they're feeling and open yourself up to, their world, not your own world, their world. And that's empathetic listening. And it's gonna lead to trust. It's gonna lead to vulnerability. And it's gonna lead to, some kind of love as well. And that's gonna enable you to just basically take any next step. It's a very different level of understanding. And again, we're talking about, transformation of mindsets. We're talking about, a group of people that, could potentially change this world. And that's a requirement, this deep level of listening. And the last form, he says, the generative listening. That's when we really are just open. We open our will. So it's not, I'm going to do this. That's my plan. That's where I'm going. We all have a plan, right? Or most of us have a plan. Our parents help us with those plans, our partners, etc. Everybody, society helps us with that plan. But what if we just kind of were able to throw that plan out the window and just be open for the next step that needs to be taken towards a more positive future for ourselves and a more positive collective future. And that would be the way. Create this common vision, co-create this common vision, and then and close these divides that we're experiencing right now. But starting at the source, starting at the mindset level, at the attitude, at the value level, at the identity level, and then moving along. So Scharmer says that the question, I never answered that. So where are we headed? And he said, well, it's less clear, but it has to do with shifting our consciousness from an ego system to an ecosystem awareness. So just being aware, okay? Me, that's extremely important. My well-being is important, and that of others in our society, but our awareness is larger, and that's on a societal level, on a global level as well. And this awareness attends to the well-being of all. And so again, where have we heard this? This is where we have the compass that Kerstin was talking about from the OECD. That's what we're talking about here. The UNESCO would refer to transformative education that enables learners to contribute to a more inclusive, peaceful, and just world. And that's also global citizenship education. And I'm pretty convinced that a lot of us can feel into it sometimes better than we can put it into words. We don't always have a definition for it, but we are feeling that. And so I would encourage you to be open to that, be open to feeling into it, and be open, to building new relationships. It's going to be a challenge at this camp. It's not the same. I saw in one of the questions, somebody said, hey, is there going to be a campfire? Well, you just saw it on the slides, the video, right? I tried to put a little campfire there to create a little campfire feeling. And you see us, sitting in a circle around the campfire that we had the night before here on this picture. So no, we won't have that real campfire, but they're extremely important. And then those camps and coming together is extremely important. And a lot of us are missing that. And we're going to make the best out of it. That's has a lot to do with mindset and attitude. And hopefully you'll all be able to take something out of this camp, something that's positive for you. The first thing could be that it's supposed to be between like 2 and 8 degrees Celsius on this island the whole week. It's supposed to rain 4 or 5 of those days. It would have been the worst weather that we've had in the history of this camp. So maybe we'll take that, start on that focus, that positive thing, that we're in kind of a warm and cozy home. But still, we don't necessarily want to be sitting in front of our computer. Some of us are fine with that. You enjoy these talks. You'll enjoy some of the workshops and the live streams. Some of you will take part in workshops where you'll really be able to engage with people, and you want to speak English, you want to get to know other people. Do it. Go to those workshops where you have that feeling. You'll be able to engage with others. And other workshops are going to send you on the BioBlitz, send you outside into nature. And we're missing a lot of that right now. We're missing those reasons. Somebody to that healthy kick in the butt. Like get out and do something outside. Some of us need that, and that feels good. So that's why we're trying to make different offers for you during this week. So, and in the end, of course, back to this quote. When I picked it out, it was only because it sounded good. I was advertising for a camp, and now I completely believe in this, more than ever before. And I definitely, there's, some of you are definitely going to be these citizens, and you are going to make changes to your world, and that's going to be on very, very different levels. So go ahead and take that with you. Yeah, thanks for listening. Kerstin was also saying, wow, that was a lot of listening, a lot of input, and she's so right. And I hope the rest of the week will be a little different, and there'll be more interaction, because that's what we're talking about the whole time, right? But we're just talking about it instead of actually doing it together. So we really wish that you definitely start to do it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and just go to some of the questions that we had, because we had some very practical questions in here. That's right. I began with, will there be a campfire of some sort? I answered that. Unfortunately, not a real one. Will there be another camp next year? Maybe next year, maybe the year after that. We don't know yet. It's really different. We usually start to plan these camps 1.5 years in advance. And so even now it's like 1 year in the future, and it's still, a situation that we haven't started planning that. So we'll see. But definitely, again, and there are other camps. That's the other thing. There's other international camps that other nations have put on. I know Estonia has offered lots of these international camps. There's been camps in Poland as well. I know Denmark is thinking of getting going, offering some of these camps before my time. Probably lots of others as well. So, follow us on Facebook for sure. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We're going to start being more active in social networks, and we're really hoping that, to just get a group of people, even, after school, and as a teacher, that you just follow us, follow what activities we're doing. And the more people we have, it means the more activities we're going to have. So be active in this network, and we'll have even more to offer. So let's see, the conferences, that was another thing for tomorrow. How are the conferences or how are the workshops going to work? You will all, this is the most important thing probably, you will all get an email from me in about 2 to 3 hours. I still have to make it a little pretty and put together like a table with all of the workshops and all of the links for you. I'm about halfway finished. And when I have that, you will receive a PDF document that has all of the workshops and all of the links you need that will take you to a Zoom meeting. And we will start at 1:00 p.m. Central European Summer Time. It's like Germany and Denmark. We'll start in one Zoom meeting, and we'll all be together in this meeting, and we'll talk about some basic information, but we're also going to actually like interact with each other, have fun, play some silly games, get to know each other, laugh together, and that sort of thing. That'll be the first thing we do before we start with some of the workshops. What else do we have here? So do you think that after the pandemic, it will be possible to meet with people who participate in this edition of Digital Baltic Sea Project Camp? That's a good question. Reach out to each other. Maybe if you end up in the same group in a workshop and you notice there might be a reason to stay connected with each other, then exchange email, exchange phone number, exchange something like that. I really encourage you to do that. We're going to start, like I already said, building up our network. So follow us on Facebook and on YouTube for a start. All right, what else do I have? How long you can take part in the camp? So what age, like up? So I've invited several students who have been to the camps in the past. They're not even students anymore. They're not teachers either, but they're still interested. They're still part of our network. And we're very open to them kind of staying involved in our network. And so some of the camps are very much limited to teachers and students, but other activities such as this digital one here, it's even fine if you're somewhere in between. Okay, that's right. The YouTube channel name, that's right. Let's see, look for it. Look for Baltic Sea Project. If you're seeing the video right now, right, on Slido. So you can even click, I think, on like watch it on YouTube, and that'll take you to that video being streamed on YouTube, and then you'll be able to subscribe. And we'll try to keep things up to date. Like we're going to be doing 3 or 4 bio blitzes a year, hopefully more of these camps, and we want to start communicating that with the rest of you more and more. Okay. So, last thing, let's see, that's right, it is 58, 2 more minutes. And I think I only have one more question here. Do I have a certain place where I need to upload the photos from the BioBlitz? So this will be part of the app. So get signed up with the BioBlitz and get the app, and you will be uploading the photos then using your phone and using this app. If you take part in one of the workshops tomorrow, that's also about, I think one of them is like coast to coast. That's one of the BioBlitz workshops, and also the one that Getty's going to be involved in with the citizen science workshop. Then she'll talk about that a little more as well. Okay, that's it. I'm kind of looking in the direction of the people here, Kerstin and Getty, whether there's something that needs to be said at the end, then you can nod your head vigorously and unmute yourself. Otherwise, I would just finish by saying thank you again to Kerstin for taking your time and being here. And thank you to everybody watching, everybody organizing, and everybody putting on an event that we've never done before. We might make mistakes. It might not all work. So be patient, support us, and we'll try to make it into the best possible digital event. So take care, everybody.
Thank you. And thank you for having me, and have a great success this week. So all the best for you. Bye.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow at 1 o'clock German time.
That's right. All right. Bye, everybody.